Rey's new Jedi Order movie will break with 48 years of Star Wars tradition, and I couldn't be happier. Rey's upcoming movie, tentatively titled Star Wars: New Jedi Order, will finally break with 48 years of Star Wars tradition, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Announced at Star Wars Celebration 2023, Star Wars: New Jedi Order is set to be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and will take place 15 years after the events of the highly contentious Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. With Daisy Ridley reprising her role as Rey Skywalker, the franchise will have a chance to reinterpret what it means to be a Jedi. Rey's new Jedi Order will change the role of the Jedi in the galaxy, and it can do so because Star Wars' oldest villains have finally been defeated. Since the first Star Wars movie, Star Wars' primary villains have been the Empire, its offshoots, and the Sith who presided over it. Even after the Empire was defeated in Return of the Jedi, it was never really gone, as proven by the Imperial remnants' presence in the New Republic era and the emergence of the First Order in the sequel trilogy. That's all about to change, however. The Empire is gone at last in Rey's new Jedi Order movie. As reported by Variety, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy previously teased what the galaxy will look like 15 years after the rise of Skywalker. "We're post-war, post-First Order, and the Jedi are in disarray," she confirmed. Who are the Jedi? What are they doing? What's the state of the galaxy? What's especially interesting are Kennedy's comments about post-war and post-First Order. Before the Empire, there were the Separatists, and after the Empire, there was the First Order. Palpatine and his dictatorial machinations have been at the center of Star Wars since the beginning. The Empire and the wars it waged have dictated most of Star Wars storytelling for decades. If New Jedi Order truly is post-First Order, though, and Palpatine's death is genuine, but really, how many times can they bring him back? It means that this will be the first time that Star Wars has truly moved on from the Empire on the big screen. Finally, Star Wars can give Rey and her newly trained Jedi a chance to fight a different kind of foe. Star Wars has been stuck in a cycle of nostalgia. The first film in the Star Wars sequel trilogy was essentially a remake of the first Star Wars movie, later retitled A New Hope. While The Mandalorian originally seemed to be a fresh approach for Star Wars, it became a vehicle to promote and revisit other Star Wars stories instead. Star Wars needs to move on from these well-examined narratives, and it can only do so if it truly jumps far away from the Skywalker family's timeline. Rey has everything she needs to steer the Jedi, and thus the story in an entirely new direction. She knows that the Jedi need to change. That will allow Star Wars to change as well. One of the reasons I've enjoyed Star Wars, The High Republic, so much is because its story isn't influenced by the Skywalker saga at all. Set a few hundred years before the events of Star Wars, Episode I, The Phantom Menace, The High Republic chronicles the golden age of the Jedi. Yes, a few ancient and well-known Jedi are present, but the Jedi's enemy during this time is entirely new and arguably more exciting. New Jedi Order's time jump opens up so many potential new storylines. Even though Rey, a character fundamentally connected to the Skywalkers emotionally as well as by name, is New Jedi Order's leading force, she has everything she needs to steer the Jedi, and thus the story in an entirely new direction. She knows that the Jedi need to change. That will allow Star Wars to change as well. How the fight against the First Order has shaped Rey. Of course, giving the Jedi a new adversary doesn't mean Rey shouldn't still be affected by the events of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Her fight against the First Order and her ordeal with Kylo Ren/Ben Solo will undoubtedly affect how she shapes a revamped Jedi Order. She's experienced what it's like to live under tyrannical rule, something the Jedi of the Star Wars prequel trilogy could never truly understand, despite their war against the Separatists, so she'll know perhaps better than any other Jedi before her, what the galaxy needs to maintain peace. In all likelihood, Rey's outlook on the Jedi's role in the galaxy as a peacekeeping force will be influenced by New Jedi Order's director's own life experiences, too. As reported by The Wrap, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy explained at SWC 2023 that she'd spent the majority of her life meeting real heroes battling oppressive regimes, and that's why she's interested in a new Jedi Order. Obaid-Chinoy is a noted filmmaker, journalist, and political activist. Those experiences will add another dimension to Rey's Jedi Order makeover. I think Star Wars has even moved on from the Sith too. I hope that, with the Empire and its offshoots firmly in the rearview mirror, the Sith will be a thing of the past in New Jedi Order too. This isn't to say that I never want Star Wars to focus on the Sith again. On the contrary, I'd love to see more of the Sith in stories set long before the prequel trilogy. But I think, with Palpatine and the Sith Eternal destroyed on Exegol, it's time for the Jedi to face a new threat. With Palpatine and the Sith Eternal destroyed on Exegol, it's time for the Jedi to face a new threat. The dark side will never fully disappear. There's no reason to think that only the already established groups have embraced the dark side of the Force. I'd love to see a new type of dark side force-wielding threat arise in the wake of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Rey's Force dyad didn't get a chance to be properly explored in Rise of Skywalker, but it opened up a whole new world of possibilities. If the Night Sisters of Dathomir can wield the dark side differently from the Sith, why shouldn't there be another Force-wielding faction somewhere in the galaxy as well? One that isn't too excited about the resurrection of the Jedi Order. Hopefully, Star Wars New Jedi Order will truly be a new beginning for our favorite spacefaring franchise. Daisy Ridley is returning as Rey in an upcoming Star Wars movie, believed to be titled Star Wars New Jedi Order. At Star Wars Celebration 2023, Lucasfilm officially announced 3 upcoming Star Wars movies, including the return of Daisy Ridley at the forefront of what was billed as the New Jedi Order. Ridley's character Rey was the main protagonist of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, which ended with her claiming the Skywalker surname. Rey's story is concerned with the future and will take the Star Wars franchise in a whole new direction. Little has been confirmed about this project to date, with The Mandalorian and Grogu releasing first, and rumors that Shawn Levy's mysterious project will be next. All that means Lucasfilm clearly feel there's plenty of time to work on Rey's return, when New Jedi Order is set in the Star Wars timeline. Star Wars New Jedi Order is confirmed to take place later in the Star Wars timeline than any other announced project. It is set 15 years after Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which places the film's events in 50 ABI, after the Battle of Yavin, in the Star Wars timeline. The placement of Star Wars New Jedi Order is significant for Rey's return, as the sequel trilogy movie events took place across only 1 year. This will allow Daisy Ridley to play a 35th-year-old Rey, which is much closer to the star's actual age. What New Jedi Order's Star Wars story could be. Although New Jedi Order is not confirmed as the title of Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie, it is the name of this part of the timeline, which means Rey will be reforming the Jedi Order. According to Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, this will see the Jedi in chaos as the galaxy tries to decide whether it needs the Order in the wake of decades of chaos and conflict. Daisy Ridley herself has yet to see a script, though she indicated she would be reading one soon, but she signed up after being presented with a plot with the actress stating,